It is cricket season. Couldn't be more excited to be back for season 2 of Beyond 23.
We're back.
Oh my goodness, it feels good to say that, doesn't it?
I went and watched my first day's Test cricket being a non-player. I went to Lords.
That's the first time you've done that.
Since I retired.
What? How did it feel?
It was awesome.
Was
I
it
was,
fun?
I was allowed to drink. I was allowed to chill out. I think we've seen for a long time that the Australian public loves cricket in this country. I think Uzi's opening.
100%.
I think Steve Smith's batting at 4. Travis Head's batting at 5. Does Cameron Green bat at number 3? I think cricket, the tradition and history of our sport, impacts a lot more people than we probably realise, which makes it super special.
Well, I tell you what, it's the end of September and that means only one thing in Australia. It is cricket season. Couldn't be more excited to be back for season 2 of Beyond 23 Cricket Pod. My name, of course, is Erin Holland and the gentleman sitting alongside me, Michael Clark.
We're back.
Oh my goodness, it feels good to say that, doesn't it?
It is a nice feeling, I got to say, and definitely my fault because I haven't been in Australia. I've been
You've
away.
been busy.
I know you've been travelling as well. We've been following the cricket around the world, but from Australia's perspective, it's been footy season really. So, best time of the year, I got to say. Driving down the road on the weekend, you see kids not playing footy anymore.
At
They've now
last.
got the bats, the balls out. They're back on the cricket field playing. Grade cricket's back started. And we are not far away from some massive tournaments from Australian cricket's perspective in both men's and women's.
Absolutely. And just before we do get on to, of course, the Women's World Cup that is just about to take place over in India and Sri Lanka. You've been very busy. Cricket doesn't sleep, as we know. It's been summer in the other hemisphere. Yeah. You've been in India doing some of the local leagues. You've been travelling around. What's life been like for Michael Clark?
Yeah, it's been awesome, to be honest, in regards to just seeing some of the, not only the IPL that I was over commentating, but to see some of the local cricket, the domestic cricket over in India. And then I spent a bit of time in the UK as well, not only just watching the cricket. I went and watched my first day's Test cricket being a non-player. I went to Lords.
That's the first time you've done that?
Since I retired. What? So I retired in 2015.
Wow.
And I haven't gone to a game live, certainly a Test match, since then, unless obviously I was working.
How did it feel?
It was awesome.
Was it fun?
I was allowed to drink. I was allowed to chill out.
On the beers.
Someone gets out, I can abuse them. Someone drops a catch, you can get into them.
No one's there to fine you for
awesome.
dissent.
And it was at Lords as well, which was very special. So I watched the first day of England. I think that was the second test or third test? Second test. England v India at Lords.
Did it evoke any memories?
Oh, look, Lords is special. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. Every time you walk into that venue, you got great memories playing there. And we had a bit of success there as an Australian team. I think that was probably one of our favourite grounds to play as an Australian, going and being a part of an Ashes series. So that was unreal to do that. And then, like I say, to be able to travel and interview so many different players, athletes, to go and spend some time with Lalit Modi in Sardinia was phenomenal, just to hear his story around, that journey of starting the IPL and the doubters, the people that thought it couldn't work, to where we sit now, 18 years on, and it's absolutely rocking.
Behemoth. Go and listen to that too if you haven't. Obviously, like, subscribe, get involved in the pod, but do go back and listen to the interview series that you've been conducting.
Yeah, it's been
I was very
enjoyable.
proud. You did a fabulous job.
No, I don't know about that.
But
it was easy
some
from
great
my
chats.
perspective because everyone was so open. And I think, to catch up with guys for a coffee or a drink or whatever it was, I think it's nice to see so many of the guys that I know so well, but then even to talk to people about, how cricket has played a part in their life. Even Piers Morgan, like an absolute legend, but a cricket tragic.
Absolute enough.
Writing letters to Sir Donald Bradman, it shows, how important our sport is to so many different people, vast parts of the world, completely different jobs. So, I
he
hope
and his
this
mates
podcast
going
does that.
for 41 years to the first day of the test. Oh, that story just blew
Crazy.
my mind.
I know. I think cricket, the tradition and history of our sport, impacts a lot more people than we probably realise, which makes it super special.
And we're still creating history because in news that affects Australia, we saw Big Bash is not too far around the corner now, but Ravi Ashwin is going to be part of the Big Bash League.
Yeah.
This is unheralded. We know that IPL means that the Indian players are not allowed to play in any other external leagues, but Ravi retires at the moment.
At the moment.
Ravi retires. He goes, you know what? I'm ready for a bit of action down under. He signs with the Sydney Thunder. How big is that for Big Bash this season?
Well, I say at the moment because that's what I think that's what this will do. I think this is our first taste of having, Ravi's been an amazing player for India, for the IPL, and has done a lot for the game. So I think to have him come and now play in our Australian domestic league, the BBL, I'm hoping it opens the door not only for, if you retire from playing for India, for example, or from your country and now come and play, but I'm hoping there's a possibility somehow. Let's say there's a player who's not involved in an Indian Test series, but the BBL's on. I'm hoping the BCCI slowly open that door so the players can keep playing cricket. It's different if you're playing. If you're playing, let's say Virat Kohli is a good example right now. He's retired from Test cricket. If India's on a Test tour during our summer when BBL's on, how cool would it be to have Virat Kohli come and play in the BBL?
Who would he play for?
Who cares? Any team he wants. I think every team would want him.
Oh, who wouldn't want him?
Well, Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma's not playing Test cricket now. Like, imagine having him as part of your friend or part of your team, part of your state. So, look, I think in regards to the BBL, every year's exciting. I got a feeling we're getting closer to franchising our teams, even if that's not full ownership to the franchise. I think we might see, 49% of each team be sold, which again will bring in a lot more money. You look at the money that the IPL's making, you look at the money that South African league's making. The
100 as well.
And now the 100, now that they've franchised those. So I think Australia will slowly but surely turn that tide and jump onto that side. So business-wise, I think you're going to see the players get a lot more money than what they have been, which, again, you have to compete with that. A lot of it comes down to the time of the tournament. Australia's tournament's still pretty long compared to some of these other tournaments. That time of the year is Christmas, New Year's. For a lot of countries, that's their family time as well. So to want players to come and be a part of this setup out here, if we can pay them the money that they're being paying for in other countries, then Australia's a beautiful place to come and spend summer. I can't see why people and players wouldn't want to do that. And you can bring your family. That's the good thing about Australia.
And they're very hospitable.
Easy.
I know the BBL teams make a massive effort to ensure that families are very welcome.
So good.
They look after you. They give you a great place to spend a lot of time. But it just makes you salivate at the idea of the Sydney Smash in January on the 16th.
Sixers.
Steve Smith is playing with Babar Azam for the Sydney Sixers against the Sydney Thunder. You've got Ravi Ashwin,
and
David Warner.
Yeah, wow.
It just all of a sudden, like, imagine SCG's not going to have enough seats. They're going to have to stack them outside.
The challenge for Cricket Australia is to try and find room for our fans to be able to still go to Test cricket, because we've got the Ashes, we've got a huge summer, and then obviously BBL as well, to try and make sure these teams are selling their grounds out. But like I say, I think we've seen for a long time that the Australian public loves cricket in this country. It's part of our summer, so I'd imagine nothing will change. And it's great to see that Davey Warner's still playing. I think that's great. I'd imagine we'll continue to see a lot of Australian international players hopefully be released in and around that Ashes series if they're fully fit. Because, again, the more internationals playing, I think the better for the fans.
No, it's certainly shaping up to be a very exciting Big Bash League this season. Speaking about India as well, we have to say congratulations to India for winning yet another Asia Cup overnight in Dubai. They did down Pakistan with a couple of balls to spare. Total dominance by the men in blue once again.
Never in doubt.
Improvement, though, for Pakistan, which I think is important for them moving forward. It's been a bit of a torrid time.
Yeah, look, it's great they made the final. There's no doubt about it. But I think the reality is India's got the measure over them. I think India dominated that whole Asia Cup. I watched bits and pieces of it. They were the favourites. I'm not surprised they won. I think the most impressive thing from India's perspective is how they won. Like, they knew they were the favourites and they played that way. So, again, I think from certainly in short format, T20, there's a T20 World Cup around the corner for the men as well in February. And even one-day cricket now, I just think opposition teams need to find a way to put pressure back onto this Indian team, because they're playing in tournaments like the IPL where these young players are coming through and they're learning how to deal with pressure at a young age. So one of Australian cricket's strengths for a long time was winning and dominating World Cups, maximum pressure, dealing with it, being able to execute with it, and winning World Cups, not making the final, but winning. Indian young players are learning this trait from a young age in and around the IPL. You're playing in front of full houses, TV coverage.
And you can only learn that
pressure.
from experience, right? And you're actually getting that opportunity. Like, how about that 13-year-old youngster for Rajasthan Royals? Like, he's going to grow up being like, this is not even pressure. This is just a normal day in the office for me.
If you've got the opportunity to learn that from a young age, and I think our, Australian cricket, if you played club cricket finals or Sheffield Shield final or the one-day cup final for in our domestic competition, that's exactly what you did. You felt that pressure from a young age. So, look, India look very, very strong in all formats, but white ball cricket particularly. And to be honest, I thought they were unlucky to lose that series against England. I think they probably missed a couple of opportunities, but it was there for them to beat England in England as well.
Oh, such a stellar test series that was. Like, you couldn't drag your eyes away from it. India looking the goods in all formats, it has to be said. And the women are going to get to show what they can do at home. The Women's World Cup is just about to kick off. Of course, that is taking place in India, in their backyard, and Sri Lanka. Aussies go in as hot faves, though, you have to say, 7-time champs, defending champions, but a lot to look forward to.
Look, I think the Aussie girls are definitely favourites, but I think conditions play a part. I feel T20 cricket all around the world is pretty consistent. You don't get enough time in the game for pitch deterioration, too much change. I think generally you're trying to make an absolute belter for T20 cricket. And it stays pretty consistent. So like I say, when the men go to India and Sri Lanka in February in a T20 World Cup, I don't think conditions will play that big a part. I don't think, the home ground Sri Lanka and India will have that much, in their favour compared to if a non-subcontinent team goes there. Test cricket makes a big difference. Home ground advantage is huge. And I think in one-day cricket in a World Cup, certainly the back end of the tournament, I think it plays a part. So I think Sri Lanka playing in Sri Lanka is massive for them.
Yeah.
And India playing in India is huge for them. So the other teams are going to need to find ways. And what I mean by that is you might see a bit more spin, certainly the back half of a game and the back half of a tournament leading into semi-finals and finals. And you would imagine, the subcontinent teams will pack their team full of spinners. And then to be able to face that, how, teams like New Zealand, England, Australia face spin bowling, actually play spin bowling, I think will be significant in this tournament. So yes, I believe the Aussies are favourite, but I think the subcontinent teams, particularly India, I think they'll utilise the conditions and they'll be extremely tough to beat.
So we've got obviously India, Australia, Bangladesh, who fought their way through the qualifiers along with Pakistan, England, New Zealand, South Africa, and Sri Lanka, of course. Everyone's going to play each other once in that round-robin format, completely the same as the men's
system.
tournament.
Yeah, I think it's great.
Even playing field, then top four progressing to semi-finals. So, I love the opportunity for everyone to get to face everyone once. You get a really true result as to who the best four sides are heading into semis.
The only other thing I think of, I love how it's set up. I think it's great as well. I agree with you to play everyone once. The only other thing I think of, the weather, because we were in Sri Lanka this time last year or year before?
Last year. Monsoon season.
And we got a lot of rain. So I wonder if the games, because there's 10 games overall being played in Sri Lanka, I just wonder how much will net run rate and washouts play a part in Sri Lanka, where I don't know if India will get any rain through that period or much rain through that period. So that one's going to be interesting as well to watch. But yeah, look, the way it's set up, even the prize money, we spoke about a little bit earlier. Off air, the prize money for the women is
297% increase. You're looking at well in excess of 13.88 million USD.
It's more than the men's.
It is more than the men's.
Yeah.
It eclipses the $10 million prize pool from the most recent ICC Men's World Cup in India in 2023. Wow. So that just goes to show what WPL, what the Women's Big Bash League, what the Women's 100, how much this game is just going in leaps and bounds from a commercial prospect too, because that's where, the money comes from. And
I think it's awesome. I think I've said it. Having a daughter probably plays a part. Well, I'm a little bit biased as well, but to me, I don't care male or female. You should be paid the same. I think the women's cricket has improved out of sight. I think the standard continues to improve. I think we're seeing so many superstar athletes come through now. And at a World Cup like this, it'll be no different. So you'll see the best players in the world, the best teams in the world competing for that one trophy. I love it. I think the more the merrier. They deserve it. I think it's going to be a good tournament. Again, I'm sitting here trying to work out what does that semi-final look like? Who's the top 4 pick? How do conditions play a part? Injuries. Some teams have got more injuries than others as well. I think we're going to see an unbelievable Women's World Cup.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. Aussies have to go in as favourites. They've won the trophy 7 times.
Yep.
They have had a few injury concerns though. So, looking through that squad, we know Grace Harris has just been ruled out with a calf strain. She gets replaced by Heather Graham, who's been absolutely whacking it in WNCL. Injury cloud to Phoebe Litchfield with a bit of a quad. Annabelle Sutherland had some hip soreness. Darcy Brown with some back spasms. Pretty part and parcel though of being an athlete these days. I'm sure they'll push through, and I think we did see most of them did play in the warm-up against England last night, our time. England won though.
Well, this is the thing.
Do we worry?
I think, I'll say it again, I think Australia are definitely favourites. I think they've got an unbelievable team. They've played a lot of cricket together and they've had a lot of success. Did we beat India 3-1? In that series?
2-1.
2-1 in the 2-1, in the one-day series. And then we've just played England and lost. So I had a bit of a look at the scorecard just to see what the Aussies might have done. And they certainly haven't played it at full strength. They've changed the batting order. They've mixed a few things up. But still, leading into a World Cup, even though it's a tour game or a lead-up or a warm-up game, you still prefer to be winning than losing. So I can guarantee England will take a lot of confidence out of that. They won't be sitting there saying, it's only a warm-up game. But, look, I just think in World Cups as well, particularly in one-day cricket, you've got a little bit of time at the start of the tournament to build into it. And I would imagine that's what the Aussies will be thinking. Right now, let's make sure everyone's getting a bat, getting a bowl, is full of confidence. And then our first couple of games, we don't need to be at our best. We need to be winning, but we don't need to be at our best. But a lot comes with being favourites as well. That expectation, there's pressure on that Australian team. They are expected to win, but it's not going to be a walk in the park. I think, again, like I say, I can find definitely 5 teams, but then I also add Sri Lanka to that because of playing in their own backyard. If conditions are not conducive, I think it's going to be a lot closer, and it mightn't be as high a scoring tournament as you think as well. If both India and Sri Lanka say our strength is our spin bowlers and facing spin, you might see slower wickets, lower scores, and that grind to bat second and chase a total down might be difficult.
Because we saw a lot of runs scored in that bilateral between Australia and India. There was one particular game in Vizag. Australia made 412 and India made 369 in the chase. If you're Elisa Healy, the great Elisa Healy, and we know what a superstar she is, she's a wonderful captain. She's got this Aussie side that has all the expectation and the pressure on her shoulders, as you said, of going in as favourites. And let's not forget, the Aussie women in ODI format, one of the strongest going around. They're so hard to beat in the 50-over game.
Yeah.
What goes through her mind attacking a World Cup like this as a captain?
I don't think you can hide the fact that they're favourites. I think you got to be honest with your team, and I think you got to push them to play that brand of cricket as well. I think the expectation should give you confidence. There's no greater pat on the back than than knowing teams want to beat you. So I don't think you hide behind it and you ignore it. I think you go the other way. And then that's your brand of cricket. That's how you play. When you get the opportunity to dominate a team or get on top of a team, you go as hard as you can. Like I say, I wouldn't be I was never too concerned if we weren't playing at our best at the start of the World Cup, as long as our processes were right and we're heading in the right direction. But when we got a chance to win, like if we could bowl a team out for 100, we'll bowl a team out for 100. If it wasn't about, let's try and bat first and make 300 and then we'll go and, go through the motions.
And she's a tenacious captain. Like she's going to
go. She's quite aggressive. Yeah,
I love it.
She's
Absolutely
quite aggressive. And I think she's a winner as well. I don't think she'll be sitting there saying, let's play these games like warm-ups.
Hell no.
That's the other thing about, the female cricket now as well. You play all around the world. So they will know what they're walking into in regards to conditions.
Yeah.
They'll know, they'll be practicing face and spin bowling. They'll be practicing sweep, reverse sweep, going down the wicket. They will be preparing no different to the Aussie men's team if they were going and playing a World Cup in the subcontinent.
No, it's going to be absolutely one to watch. That does start on Tuesday. So looking forward to seeing just what the Women's World Cup brings. And we have to talk winners, right? I want top four. I want who our semi-finalists are going to be. And
okay,
I mean, for me, my top four was Australia, India, New Zealand, the T20 World Cup current champions. And I think South Africa could be a bit of a dark horse for fourth.
Oh, I disagree with one of yours.
Okay.
I've gone Australia, India. I'm sticking with New Zealand, even though South Africa, I just think that they've got some really talented players. But I've got England in my top four.
Okay.
So I've gone Australia, India, England, New Zealand, not in any particular order in my top four. But again,
Sri Lanka at home.
Yeah, Sri Lanka,
it's tough, isn't it?
Sri Lanka at home. It's hard until I see conditions. Like if we're sitting here and I'd seen a game played, then I think I'd be a lot more confident in that top four. But I think those four teams have played on the big stage. They know how to handle pressure. Australia are definitely the favourites, but then India is close behind based on the tournament. Their side of the tournament is going to be played in their own backyard.
Yeah, absolutely. And how about your finalists? Who are top two?
Final, like I say, I'm more nervous about getting that top four right. Final to me is a no-brainer, Australia v India.
Yeah, I have to agree.
I just think, like I say, India and England, India in India, Australia are the favourites. I think for those two teams, if they're not in the final, it's for them to lose. They'll have to play some bad cricket to miss out. I like the tournament structure. You play every team once. And I think those two teams will find themselves in the final.
India has never won the Women's World Cup. Can they do it for Pup's final prediction? Should it be India, Australia? Is there a world in which they take the chocolates this year? It's like pains him.
It's a two-horse race, so of course they can win. You've got to be a brave, brave man to bet against Australia.
I'm not doing it.
No, I think Australia win the final. I think Australia are the favourites. I can't wait to see how they deal with the pressure and the expectation, though. I think that's going to be really good to see their senior players, Alyssa Healy, their captain, how they handle that. But no, I've got to stick with the Aussies. I think the Aussies will win. But India can beat them. Like I say, I think the other thing as well in a round robin, you get to play against the team once, and they've just played against Australia. So they'll know the Australian team. They'll know their strengths and weaknesses. There's no reason. I don't think you're going to see a 420 play 369 or whatever they got. I think you might, like I say, the final might be slow spin. Australia's going to have to play spin bowling and bowl spin very well to beat them. But I'm going to stick with the Aussies to win.
Aussie. Well, we cannot wait to see how they go over in India and Sri Lanka. Of course, Women's World Cup is just about to get underway, and the all-conquering Aussies, can they make it an 8th title in a row? But of course, it does mean that the summer of cricket is upon us in Australia, and we are leading towards the Ashes. Australia v England, no greater contest that I can remember growing up than seeing these two sides go head to head. And there's a lot of implications for the playing 11 for Australia soon. And it is really a bat-off this pre-season heading into the Ashes, isn't it? I mean,
honestly, I'm so excited. I think Australia A is playing at the moment, so we're sitting and watching players make runs and take wickets, which is how Australia A cricket should be. I think when you're selected for Australia A, you realise you're so close. You're 100 or 1-5 away from representing your country. And I think we're seeing, or we're certainly watching Australia A very closely. And I think Shield cricket is exactly the same. Bring on the Shield season where it's actually so competitive to see who's going to fill these final spots in this Australian team. It's a bit of a bat-off, really. I think from a bowler's perspective, assuming Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins are fit, add Lyon to that, I think those 4 are locked. I think Scotty Boland is number 5 in that squad, but then it's 5 test matches. Players are going to get injured. We're already unsure if Paddy Cummins is going to be fit for the first and the second test. I think there's some real question marks around him being fit or 100% fit for that first test. So that being the case, if he's injured, Boland comes in, but then you want to be one of the next 2 quicks in line, because you would imagine through this, if Australian pitches are how I assume they will be with good weather, the bowlers have got their work cut out. So there's no reason, that another fast bowler, another 2 quicks don't get an opportunity. But I think the main talking points.
Well, who opens the batting, right? Because Sam Constas was the last one to hold that position. It is his to lose currently, but you look at Marnus scoring tons in the one-day cup, just starting out the season as well. We know, I have it on good authority, Ben was in the nets with him the other day. He's been getting in there at like 5 a.m. every morning and batting for hours and hours on end. As Marnus would do, really trying to crack his way back into that side. Sam Constas, a century in last week's series opener against India A. Where does he sit for you? What does your gut tell you is the right choice?
You know what? Right now, I think I'd be silly to pick that other. I think Uzi's opening.
100%.
I think Steve Smith's batting at 4, Travis Head's batting at 5, and I reckon there's your spots. There's a second opener. Does Cameron Green bat at number 3? There's a lot of talk about him going back down the order. If he goes down the order, then Bo Webster can't play. So Cameron Green must go to, or even if Cameron Green slides down, everyone else must slide down. They won't move Smitty from 4. I can't imagine they'll move Travis Head from 5. So Green's either 3 or 6.
Which means Bo Webster is out.
I reckon Bo Webster's played beautifully. I reckon he's grabbed his opportunity. Bat, bowl, and field, unbelievable fielder. Yeah. I don't know what they're thinking at the moment, which is not a bad problem as well, because you got time. Like I say, you got Australia A, you got the Sheffield Shield season. I think the selectors are doing the right thing at the moment in holding their breath. They're not coming out and saying, we're making this change, we're looking at this guy to open, we're saying Cam Green's not going to bat at 3. Let the talk, let the media, let people like you and I, assume and try and push our certain, who we think, our own opinions. But I think you got time. And from my perspective, I don't know which way they'll go at the moment.
Well, who's in contention? You've got Matt Renshaw, Nathan McSweeney, who was tried and tested last year, Sam Constas. You've got Marnus in there as well.
Depends how many spots.
Marcus Harris, they've mentioned as well, has popped around. Jack Edwards was notching half centuries.
In my opinion, if they keep Cameron Green at 3, Smith 4, Head 5, Webster 6, then I think you're looking at 2 guys to open with Usman Khawaja. And I think it's either Sam Constas, who's already been there. And again, I think they made a mistake with Sam. I think he should have played in Sri Lanka, and I think he would have made 100 in Sri Lanka. I think he should have played the World Test Championship. He would have had more cricket under his belt. I think he would have done better in the West Indies, and then he comes into this Ashes series ready to rock. That hasn't been the case. So there's some talk about, is he ready? Is he not ready after how he played in the West Indies? So I still think they'll either stick with Sam, or I think they'll go back to Marnus Labuschagne to open the batting. I think it'll be one of those 2.
Open the batting.
I think it'll be one of those 2 if they keep Green at 3 and Webster at 6. If they move Green to 6, number 3 is a no-brainer for me. It has to be Marnus.
Yeah.
And then they've got to pick another opener.
Well, the robots agree with you, because we actually asked ChatGPT, because no one seems to know what the Aussie selectors are thinking. And I want to run you through what it came up with.
Oh, no.
And I have to assume that they've gone through every archive, every statistic, everything. But
I'm not a fan of statistics as well. I know they play a part, but
Context is everything.
When
we
I
know
played
that.
as well, I think you can find a statistic for anything you like. So
That supports any argument, I know.
Yeah.
But if ChatGPT were to have their way,
Yep.
Uzi and Cam Bancroft to open, Marnus at 3, agreeing with you there, Steve Smith at 4, Travis Head at 5, Cam Green at 6, so no Bo Webster, Alex Carey at 7, Pat Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood and Lyon.
Wow.
We don't
Well,
agree with the robots?
I don't agree with the robots, no. I don't think they'll go back to Cam Bancroft to open the batting.
No matter what he does in the Shield
no,
season?
I don't think that's not fair. I don't think that's fair. Sorry, I think I like Cam. I think he's scored a lot of runs in his career. He's consistent in Shield cricket. I don't think you ever write someone off. I don't think that's fair. But I think they'll probably favour either Sam or Marnus if there's only one spot to pick. I think it'll come from one of those two.
And knowing that Uzi is now 38 years old, like surely there's only a few summers left.
Well,
Maybe it's the last summer.
This is Uzi's last summer.
So then you get the opportunity to hopefully blood a younger opener and then...
I think the selectors and Paddy Cummins, assuming he's playing in captain, I think in an ideal world they'd like Uzi to play this series, and then I think it's the ideal time for him to retire and somebody else come through. But look, I think the other thing as well, a lot depends on if your team's winning or losing.
Yeah.
So you can, like if Uzi misses out in the first 2 test matches and Australia are not winning, pressure will be on him as well. He's, but that's not just Uzi. That's just about every player. Like Ashes series.
Serious business.
It is. Selections become extremely important. Success and failure becomes extremely important as a team, but also individually. You probably don't get as much leeway through an Ashes series. And it makes and breaks careers. A lot of players retire halfway through an Ashes series or at the end of an Ashes series.
Nothing is promised in professional sport as we know. And
runs on the board in Shield cricket, I think, is for everyone, even the senior players. If Uzi's playing for Queensland, if Smitty's playing for New South Wales, I think even these guys, Travis Head, South Australia, look, they're locked in to play the first test, but don't worry, they'll want runs as well behind them leading into this first test against England, because if they're fully fit, if their quicks are fully fit, Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, I reckon this is going to be a cracker of a series.
Well, keep your eyes peeled on the domestic season then. So much to play for in that Australian side. And, of course, the Ashes. We will just touch on the England squad very quickly before we finish up today. Ben Stokes back, obviously, after not playing any cricket since July, missing that final test against India at the Oval.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine. I mean, I can imagine he'd had every jab under the sun to be fine to play an Ashes series.
But again, even that, like for Stokesy, if this is his last series, like you would, whatever needle you need, whatever you need to do to get your body right, like that's what you do. An Ashes series is, you're not missing it. Paddy Cummins is saying, look, I don't know how bad
it must
Paddy
be bad
is.
enough to have let us all know this early on that potentially he won't be available for at least the first one or two.
Even that, let's say he's not fit for the first 2 test matches and Paddy's an absolute superstar, but Scotty Boland comes in. His record in Australia is phenomenal.
It's not a bad replacement, is it?
I don't think we lose anything there. And then Smitty will be captain, who tactically, I think Smitty's a better tactical captain than Paddy Cummins. I think he'll use Nathan Lyon more aggressively than Paddy does. I don't think that's... You want any team with Pat Cummins in it is a better team, don't get me wrong. But I think we are blessed in Australia to have Scotty Boland as our 4th quick, and then someone like an experienced superstar in Steve Smith to be able to take over the reins for if it's 1 test, if it's 2 tests, whatever it is. So I think of a lot of tours gone by, it wasn't, we weren't always that fortunate. So I think, you want Paddy fit, but if he's not fit, I don't think you risk him certainly in that first test match.
I imagine you break him in the first one. He comes back too early. That would just be devastating.
He's too important in all formats, Paddy. That's the thing. He's actually become so good that he's just as important in Test cricket, one-day cricket, and T20 cricket, in my opinion.
Yeah, busiest man going around in cricket at the moment. But just coming back to this English Ashes squad, 5 seamers and 1 spinner named. They've gone with Shoaib Bashir.
I'm not surprised. Look, I think that's their weakness. When I look at the squad, I think their spin their spin options, not just Bashir. I think he's done pretty well since coming in. I think they've taken a risk on him. I like that they've stuck with him. They've kept the faith, but I think it's going to be their weakness throughout the series versus someone like Nathan Lyon, who bowls beautifully in Australia. The Aussie batters will line him up. As soon as he comes on the bowl, they'll be thinking, we're going to go hard because we want Ben Stokes to have to bring a fast bowler back or have to bring himself back on to bowl more overs. So it'll definitely be a tactic for the Aussies to take down England spinners. They can also use Joe Root, who's not the worst part-timer. But I think that's the only weakness I see in that England lineup. I think their batting can be aggressive when required. I think the way they played against India was the perfect brand of cricket. It was Bazball, but it was controlled Bazball. It was pick your moment. Is it the new ball? Is it this middle phase? Is that there's no reverse swing? Is spin coming to like they picked their options a lot better, and they got some great stock. Even again, Jofra Archer being back in that squad is massive. Mark Wood, if he can bowl 155 Ks, even if he only plays 2 or 3 test matches, I just think they look a super strong squad. And if conditions in Australia, Perth's the first test, if you just let Jofra Archer cut loose and Mark Wood cut loose in that first test, I just reckon you got day-night test this summer is in Brisbane, not Adelaide.
Oh, then with a pink ball under lights, I'll tell you what, fast and bouncy.
Yeah, I think their speed options, speed through the air options are as strong as I can remember, certainly in my time with an England team coming out to Australia. And I think their batting's been in pretty good form, majority of them as well. I see Harry Brooks become vice captain as well.
Yeah, interesting.
So that's a little change, but he's captain of the one-day team. I don't think it's a big thing. I think, they gave him the one-day captaincy. He sort of grabbed it with both hands. I think, Brendan McCullum, would have been one of the things he would have been watching. I don't think it'll be a big thing in and amongst the players, but I think Ben Stokes playing is massive. Ben Stokes being fit.
He's such a talisman for them.
Aggressive captain, bat, ball, leadership, players follow him. I think they need Stokesy fit if they're going to compete with the Aussies.
Every fibre of my being doesn't want any English hundreds this season. But when Matty Hayden came out,
mate, let me tell you right now, Matthew Hayden definitely wants 100 from an English player. He definitely does not want to be running around
so he can go streaking across.
Mate. He'd be praying
sight.
that Joe Root makes 100.
Oh, my goodness.
So might Kelly's wife. Kelly's wife might be praying as well. But
Kelly's like, oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
And Gracie Hayden as well coming out and going, please, God, make 100, Joe. I think that's something that everyone wants to see. Tell you what, though, we have a huge summer of cricket coming your way. We are back, baby, back in the studio, back doing all things beyond 23.
Nice.
It's a pleasure to be back with you again as well, Pup,
Nice to have
helping you
back,
steer the ship.
Erin, of course.
But thank you so much for joining us. Like, subscribe, get involved. Let us know who you think is going to be in the Women's World Cup final. Who wins the Ashes? We love reading out all of your comments, and we'll see you all for another edition of Beyond 23. Ciao for now.